Pela primeira vez, o Comunidade na TV recebe o vice-ministro das Relações Exteriores de Israel, Daniel Yalon, para falar dos maiores desafios da política externa israelense. Minister, thank you for coming. I'd like to start our interview asking you about the most recent conflict. Terrorists based in Gaza and backed by Iran have fired over 160 missiles, rockets, and mortars close to the Gaza border. Could you confirm there is a new intifada starting?
Well, there is an ongoing terror all the time. Gaza is a terrorist entity governed by a terrorist government of Hamas. Hamas is a terror organization which is recognized as such by most of the Western communities in Europe, in the United States. It's a terror organization. They target only children and civilians. They are being helped by Iran and other radical forces in Syria, Hezbollah, and 1 million of our people in the southern part of the country live under the terror of missiles. No country can tolerate, and this is why we have to respond and we have to put an end to this terror, and we will have to do what we have to do.
Recent attacks against ambassadors and diplomats led Israel on alert. Do you think that Iran is behind these attacks?
Yes, it's without any doubt. We have very concrete evidence that this is Iranian terrorists who did it, just as they did 20 years ago in our embassy in Buenos Aires, just as they tried to kill the Saudi Arabian ambassador in Washington. And this is reflecting the danger and the fanaticism of the Ayatollah's regime in Tehran. Not only they seek nuclear weapons, not only they arm terror groups all over the world for terrorism, they also target diplomats who are trying to promote peace. They are targeting civilians. They are targeting targets all over the countries. And Iran is very dangerous because it has global ambitions, dangerous ambitions, not only in the Middle East, but also in Africa, also in Central Asia, also here in Latin America.
Barack Obama has called for Israel to wait to attack Iran. To what extent is the Israeli government submit to the guidance of U.S. President?
Well, first, we respect very much. The United States is our best friend and ally. We are natural allies and friends. We see eye to eye about the objectives. We have identical interests, and we will continue to consult and work together. Having said that, Israel is a sovereign country, and we will always take the decisions that shape our future. And this is our right, this is our obligation as a sovereign country, as a government that needs to take care of our interests in the long run. But also it's important to say that Iran is not just a threat to Israel. It's a threat to the entire world. It's a threat to the Arab countries, the Sunni governments. It's a threat to Europe. It's a threat to oil markets. It's a threat to any free flow of marine and other transportations. Iran is so dangerous and so aggressive now. Just think how more so they will be with a nuclear immunity.
Arab Spring has changed the geopolitics of the Middle East. How does Israel faces the policy change in important countries like Egypt?
Well, we very much are impressed by the people's desire, and we would like the people to shape their own future. But we see also a danger that Islamic forces, which are the most disciplined and the most organized, and they get help from extreme Islamists, whether in Tehran or other sources of Wahhabism, that they try to take over. And this is the danger, that a genuine, authentic revolution is being hijacked by Islamist forces. And it's the same way that we cannot afford what happened in Iran in 1979. In 1979 also was a revolution by the people against the Shah. And after 4 weeks, the revolution was taken over by Mr. Khomeini and his Ayatollahs. And this is the danger that we face now, and this is where the entire world should be very, very attentive to.
Recently, the president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, ended up not coming to Brazil and was not received by the president Dilma Rousseff. It is believed that the change is the result of Brazilian foreign policy. How do you analyze this change with distance from countries like Iran?
I think it's very important because we cannot, the decent countries of the world, leading countries of the world like Brazil, cannot legitimize such a dangerous regime as the regime of the Ayatollahs in Tehran. And today there is a growing understanding in the diplomatic world and the international community that the only way to stop Iran is to isolate it politically, to put pressure on it economically, so they will start paying a price. So far they did not pay a price for all their illegal and dangerous activities. So it's very important to continue with this path, to put more pressure until they stop immediately all the illegal nuclear activities.
The UN said more than 7,000 civilians were killed by the regime of Bashar al-Assad. How Israel positioned about the recent blood of civilians by Syria?
Well, we very much are saddened by it. We very much deplore it. We have offered humanitarian aid to all the victims through the International Red Cross. Unfortunately, Assad and his regime does not allow any help. But other than that, we watch with amazement how the international community is paralyzed and cannot do much to help victims. This is also a lesson for us in Israel, that we always will have to depend on our capabilities and our ability to defend ourselves by ourselves.
The border with Syria has always been an armed peace. What could be the possible scenarios with the change in the Syrian regime?
Well, nobody can tell yet, but I believe that any regime will be better, because Assad is the best ally of Ahmadinejad, and Syria today has become the gateway of Iran to the entire Middle East. And without Syria, that as an ally to Iran, that would really weaken Iran. So I think only good things can come out of it.
What do you expect to the visit to Brazil?
I expect first and foremost to increase ties, basically scientific ties, commercial ties between Brazil and Israel. We have very developed economies, so we have complementing capabilities that can help both our peoples in Brazil and in Israel. And of course, very much to reach out to the Jewish community in Brazil. For us in Israel, it's the most important thing is to reach out to the Jewish communities and work with them together, as not only our past is one, but also our destiny is one.
What message would you like to leave to the Jewish community in Brazil?
I would say that you should be very proud of who you are, at what you represent. Also, you should be proud of Israel and the achievements. Israel is there for the entire Jewish people, but we do understand and realize that you're also very proud of your Brazilian nationality, and there is no dissonance whatsoever between being a proud Brazilian and a proud Jew and a supporter of Israel. And the last thing I want to say is just keep up the good work, and most importantly, keep up the Jewish identity of the younger generation, and through Jewish education. I think this is the most important thing for our people.
Minister, the Comunidade na TV program is glad to have you here. Hope everything is going to be all right in Israel and in the Middle East. Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you very much.
Thank you.